Dynisha and I are benchmarking partners that go way back, and I'm so honored to be sitting here next to her having this conversation with all of you and with her. And we talked last night about introducing each other, and we have a hashtag, Accidental KM. She was in organizational change management, doing huge SAP programs and rollouts. And then she just answered a job posting for KM. And you thought,
I thought when I saw it, this is a need for a change management specialist, but they don't know it.
yeah, she did. And that was in 2010, and basically the rest is history. She leads the KM program at Nalco Champions. It's an award-winning program. And the way I met her at first is when I was at FMC Technologies, new there in 2013. My boss, who was and is a genius and has 33 patents and unfortunately is no longer my boss, said, you've got to meet this guy at Nalco Champions. He leads this KM program. He's really great. And he took me to lunch with David Yule.
David Yule.
And David Yule spent the whole time talking about Dynisha. You've got to meet Dynisha. She works with me. She is amazing. She has brought so much to her program. So that's why I'm happy to be here with her.
Thank you, Kim. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Well, likewise, as Kim said, we're benchmark partners. We're part of a roundtable called the KM Roundtable in Houston, and quarterly we get together with other companies in the energy space that are knowledge practitioners. So I'm really happy to be here with Kim. Kim's experience outweighs mine, and not because she's grizzly as she says, but because she's just really an expert in what she does. In talking with Kim and how she became an accidental KM person, really the beginning of her career was in global proposals. And something great came out of Y2K. How many of you even remember Y2K? We thought the world was going to explode. Well, the company that Kim worked at was looking at what to do in advance of Y2K and decided that they needed to do something around knowledge and making sure that their knowledge content was captured so that they wouldn't lose it when the world exploded. And that's how Kim got into this space. So she's a great person to work with. You're going to learn a lot from her today. And what we really thought is that we just kind of keep it informal. We have so much that we could tell you because we do a lot. And we want to start off by saying what you want to hear the most so that we can meet your needs today.
And one more thing I wanted to say about Dynisha after, thank you, my friend, is she has a personal motto. I help people and technology come together. That's really cool. We should all have a personal motto around what we do. I don't quite have one as good as that, so I'm not going to say it yet. So this is the one without the bill. That's okay. So we got together. We both have our notes. These are mine from when we spoke about planning this. They're really, really messy. We were talking about what our programs have in common because that's part of the theme here, right? Mature programs. And I took notes, and it's all these things. And do you want to tell them kind of how we want to go about this?
Yeah. So what we want to do is just starting with the first column around process. We've got 3 buckets: process, communications, and people. When Kim and I looked at our programs, we do these things, but we do them differently. And we jotted down in each of these areas some things that were really important to us from a foundational perspective. But then also, since our programs have matured over time, what did we add along the way? And we thought that we would start with column 1 with process. And when you look at the things under there, we've got like 4 items. Hear from you on which would you like to hear a little bit about. And then we'll both just take turns tag teaming on those things to share our best practices, lessons learned, our failures around that topic.
Pithy statements.
Make sense? So if you look at the process column there, we've got governance linked to business results, continuous improvement, innovation, and change management. 4 items. Want to hear from you on what's important to you today.
We talk a little bit about governance.
Oh, yeah.
So she asked if we could talk about governance, so we'll start with that. Yeah.
Secondary, continuous improvement and innovation.
Okay.
All right.
And before we get started, we're going to spend maybe 25 minutes here listening and talking, and then move into AI, because that's on the title as well. So don't worry, don't leave if you just came to hear about AI, okay? Do you want to go first on governance?
I'll go first on that. I'll say that this is actually the foundation for our KM program overall. Without it, everything else fails. And what it means for us is having defined roles for your KM program, whether that is communities of practices, right, online networks where people have formalized discussions, or whether that's content in libraries, but having defined roles for who's going to do what,
Yeah.
communicating those roles out to the business, and having some accountability around those roles. People shouldn't just think that you launched your KM program and now we're done, right? This is a very dynamic discipline, and we need to know who's on point to do what in that discipline. The role that my team plays is we call ourselves the Knowledge Sharing Program Team. We oversee that governance model. So for our communities, we have executive sponsors. We have people who are stewards as network managers who make sure that discussions get answered in a timely manner, right? For our libraries, we have authors. We have people who look at copyright violations. So we have very clear roles in the governance model with responsibilities tied to them.
Governance is your credibility. Governance is what makes executives believe. Governance requires participation, and with participation comes ownership. So our governance for our communities of practice, which extends into the wikis that are associated with each community, is what makes executives feel comfortable with our program. I agree with what Dynisha said. It's the platform, it's the foundation. You have to have it. It doesn't have to be rigid. It doesn't have to be unchanging. But governance is basically, I think, the oil that makes the cogs continue to go around with KM. I just almost get kind of hot flashes thinking about if we didn't have governance, because it is the structure that allows you to talk about KM and to do KM and to bring people into KM in a way that makes sense. Yeah.
I'll add for us too, the governance helps us enable performance, because we can tie performance goals to the roles. As an example, if somebody is an author, right, and they're responsible for writing content in our wiki, we can have very clear goals that say, in 2019, this individual is going to write 5 articles around hydrates, right? If somebody is a moderator of a wiki page, they can have very clear goals in their performance plan. And then my team doesn't have to do all of that work alone. Their people manager is helping them stay accountable to those goals.
Absolutely. And what Dynisha said when we talked, and I'm so glad I brought my notes, governance provides more trust than enterprise social, right? Anyone can create a Yammer group. Anyone can do anything in any Yammer group. They shouldn't, but the formal KM has that governance that elevates it to a level where it's purposeful. Again, our governance is pretty similar, and I'm sure either one of us would be happy to share it with you if you'd like to hear more about it. So do you think we covered that?
I think so.
Yeah? Does it
Give you what you wanted?
Okay. We have, go ahead.
Just a quick
Yeah.
governance. To what extent are roles in the performance review versus volunteering?
Yes, yep. So I think your question was around people volunteering for roles, and to what extent are we doing that versus goals that are in the performance review? Yep. So we actually have a copy and paste set of goals for each role in our governance model. And even though people volunteer and these roles are rotational, as an example, you might be a wiki page moderator for 2 years and then you rotate out, we still strongly encourage and talk to both them and their manager about putting a goal into their performance plan, even though it's a volunteer role.
And if I could add a little bit to that, there are volunteer roles in our company too, again, very similar, but we can actually track people rising through their behaviors exhibited in the knowledge management platforms and the knowledge sharing that they do that creates the business value. So the volunteering is actually a really good thing to do. So our next one was continuous improvement
Donna, right here.
and
asked for that.
innovation. Yeah. So KM is wonderful and it's different every day. And I think we both believe that we have to continue to evolve. I don't know if any of you were here when my team spoke last year, but we have a little stair-step evolution of our KM program, and I'm sure yours is pretty similar as well. And we started with communities. That was the backbone. It is the backbone. It will always be the backbone. And then we kept adding taxonomy and wikis and facilitated collaboration and ideation and supporting other back office groups like quality and our technology fellows and enhanced search, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's an angle of it being innovative and continuously improving within your KM program. Another angle is in supporting continuous improvement and innovation within your company. KM and the innovation and R&D team should be like this. And if we aren't, then we just need to make it happen. Go make friends. Go do it. I could talk about this all day, so I
Yeah.
should give you a chance.
No, that's good. So I've got two things there I'll
Yeah.
add. As an example, we have a private community for people who are researchers in our company. So anybody who is in RD&E, they have a place to talk about innovation and formulation of our products. And this is a cross-discipline group. So somebody who works in our energy space can be talking with somebody in our food and beverage space, and they can be talking with somebody in our institutional space, right? Because maybe somebody has developed a product that can be modified for another area. So we allow that innovation by way of the communities that we have. Another thing around continuous improvement is we started this program before there was a big push for digital, right? Because people have always needed to collaborate. We're social beings. Now in my company, digital, commercial digital especially, is a driving force, right? How can we bring more digital solutions to our customers? I work at a chemical manufacturing company, but now we're looking at, well, how can we give our customers something to monitor chemical applications at their well, right? Can they automatically look at tank levels and the monitoring of that? Can they see when we've over-treated something? Can we see it so that we can optimize our plans for them? And now we are looking at how do we take all of our internal knowledge that we've had for a while around KM, right? But also marry that with external content from our customers as we look at commercial digital to really drive analytics. So that's a way to continually improve your program. It's never done, right? And technology enables this, and technology is never done. So we always have an opportunity to look at how we can grow and expand our CAM programs.
Connecting KM with external customers is also innovative, and it's good to position your KM team as the supporters of innovation. I have a quick story some of you have heard before. We do facilitated collaboration, as I said, and ideation, and Luis Rodriguez on our team. Are you here, Luis? Actually, no, he's next door with some other team members. He got a call, Luis, and it was from a product manager for one of our senior product manager for one of our big product lines. And his problem was, we've been going to the market the same way with this product for 30 years. Our customers need more. Luis, what can you do to facilitate getting all the great ideas from customers and employees? That put us right smack in the middle. And the ideation session we had 600 years of experience on it. And they did eventually get to a new way to go to market. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, success story.
Should we move to the next column, or do you
Yeah.
think we have more time for this one?
I think we can go to the next one. Yeah.
Next column, all right. Thank you, Donna.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking at communications.
Yeah? Anybody? Oh, you want to go first?
Sure. So one of the things that we do with our communities is actually, first of all, we train the people who are stewards of those communities on how to recognize members, right? So we provide them with metrics so that every month they can see page hits for each user of their community. They can see number of questions somebody asked, and they can see number of replies. And although we have a formal recognition program, what we ask is for them to monthly recognize their top 10 contributors, right? Our formal program is widespread and it's global. It goes beyond that. Part of it is nomination-based, so all throughout the year people can put in nominations, and part of it is metrics-based. So we look at numbers and we look at behaviors. As an example, we have an award called Most Valued Contributor. It's the person who's had contributions to a community that we really felt led to the best successes, right? We have a Knowledge Sharing Ambassador Award, people out in their district who are really doing a lot to help other people embrace collaboration. We have a Sponsor of the Year award for our executive sponsor who really goes out of their way to help people do that, right? And the way that we do this is we actually mail the awards to the manager of the recipient along with a script already of what the person did to receive that award. We ask them to present the award in front of that person's peers. We ask them to take a picture and send it back to us, and we do all the promotion and publicity. So one, we're recognizing that person. We're also kind of, by the way, recognizing the manager, because they're in that picture too, and we're saying thank you for endorsing collaboration and knowledge sharing, right, for being a champion of this. And then we put the pictures out there for the whole organization to see.
To add to that, we have a similar awards program. One of the awards that we give annually is Best Wikitude. Also a Great Leader Award, and we can both share our lists of award names with you after if you're interested. There is a woman named Linda Bruxick in the audience from Collins Aerospace, and I learned from her at KM World last year of a cool award that they do, which is totally peer-led, called Where's Q? She was in quality at the time, and Q was a thing that sits on someone's desk, and a person wins it, and they win it because the person who won it before caught them doing some great quality behavior and sent it to them. So your job is to take a selfie with it and then keep it on your desk for about a month and then send it along to someone else. Totally free, totally crowdsourced, totally valuable, right, Linda? Yeah, it was marvelous. I love that idea, and I'm going to steal it. One other thing about awards is don't be humble. Try to get external awards, because external awards bring internal street cred. And I will stand here and say proudly, I believe the reason we have a KM program today in our company is because we won the KM World Reality Award in 2017. We also merged with another company in 2017 that did not have KM, and it was touch and go there. But I think that award really helped our leadership understand that, yeah, this actually is important. We don't just need learning. There are many, many awards out there. Anyone in the audience who has had the KM World Award? Okay, last year it was Delta. The year before us, it was Goodyear. You apply for it in about mid-year. I highly recommend it. Even the process of applying is great, and they're wonderful. They named 10 finalists, so you can get some recognition even if you don't win. And executives love that. Please don't tweet that. Seriously, because it's our secret.
Yeah, and Kim's right, it doesn't have to be expensive. One of our benchmark partners, Conoco, they use stickers, little vinyl stickers, right? And so it's a sticker that goes on the back of your laptop. You take your laptop everywhere with you. Based on their different award categories, they have a different sticker, and so that's that ongoing publicity. Our awards are little coins, like military champion coins. They sit on your desk. Shipping's very, very cheap. Getting them minted's very cheap. So there's a way that you can do this without spending a lot of money.
Absolutely. And what underpins or what awards create is what we're all looking for with KM, right? Engagement. Yeah. Yeah. What else? We've got in the yellow, and then, sir.
Could you also talk through the business results, the communication business results, not just from the perspective of the outcomes, but also measurement?
Yes, she's got a great measurement story. I have a softer one, so you should definitely go
Okay,
first.
yeah, I'll talk on that, and it
Yeah.
touches a little bit on the success stories in the communications column. We have a very, let's say, organized process around what we call value capture. How do we capture value from our discussions, right, and from our content? And we have some categories for that. But we have a couple ways that people can nominate things to us. The people who act as network managers of our communities, they can say, this discussion thread was really, really great. I think it needs follow-up, and it bubbles up to our team. But the original poster of a question can also send us something and say, hey, this led to a success for me. Because we have a full-time communications person on the team, they follow up. And what they're doing is they're saying, what was the backstory? What was the challenge you had? What were you looking for? What even led you here, right? And what did you do with the information that you got? And we write that up in a human interest type of a story, and we can monetize that. So to date, as Kim said, we have definite value that we've proven, and over $2 million in revenue generated from discussions, over $12 million in customer savings, and almost $200,000 in internal process improvements from discussions and library documents. We also provide metrics every month so that you can see not only who's using your communities and your libraries, but we tie that in with our HR data from our HR management system. So we can see demographically what region are you located in. We can see what job family. Are you in sales? Are you in marketing, right? And if you're a manager, you can type in your name and see all the metrics for your team and their usage over the month.
Yeah, and she's such a good benchmarking partner. They shared their value capture process with us, closing discussions, and then turning it into a wiki page and doing the monetizing thing. And quite frankly, it just didn't work in our culture. People didn't want to split up the credit. They wanted to call it process improvement or whatever. So it doesn't always work to attach monetary values to KM as a consistent process, although I'm really, really jealous. And if you were in our storytelling workshop yesterday, in fact, my teammates right next door are probably telling the same story. There are times when we'll take a specific KM project and put a savings metric to that. But what we do more is ROE, return on expectation, rather than return on investment, and ask the sponsor of a KM project before we get started, what is your expectation? And if it is to speed up a process or to solve a problem or remove a barrier, break down a silo, whatever, and we ask them, if we do that, if we help you do that, because you're gonna be doing the work, right? We're just enabling it. will we have met your expectations? Yes. And when we go back, maybe a few months afterward, show them, we keep our notes. These were your expectations. Did we meet them? Yes. And for us, that works a little better. So I'm envious, but we can't do it.
And you know what, that's okay. And I think this is why we decided to do this way
Yeah.
today, right? There is no one size fits all.
Yes.
Right? We have, again, some of the same elements, but the way that we approach it is very different. And our challenge to you is go back and take some of what you heard from us, but figure out what will work for you in your organization, right? It's got to be fit for purpose. You've got to be able to get buy-in
Yeah.
with the people that you're asking to be engaged.
Yes. And we should probably move to the people. Yes, move to people. Yes. So, gentleman in the second row there, I think you had a question. No, I have a really good line for branding. Can I just say it?
Do it.
I thought of it earlier. Branding gives your KM program legs, literally. It's your KM program walking around on people's backs if you gave them T-shirts, on their computers if you gave them stickers. I saw a gentleman who used to work with us and now works for one of the search companies earlier in the area where they're doing the demos, and he still has his FMC Technologies bag from 8 years ago. Legs, I mean, really legs. Branding, it gives it an identity. Branding is critically important. Our new hashtag is sharing makes us smarter. I'm all for branding. Tons of people in this room and other places have done presentations on it. You want to speak to it?
Yeah, I agree. And what this means is give a name to what it is that you
Yeah.
do, right? Don't just say it's SharePoint. Don't just say it's Yammer or whatever it is. So we have names for our programs. Ours is called CORE, right? The CO is for connecting. The RE is for resources, connecting resources, whether that's connecting people to people or people to content. But then we can do a lot with that. We have a CORE wiki. When we do other things, we say this was powered by CORE. So
Yeah.
we have it branded. We have a logo for it. And people, they don't even really hear us talk about knowledge management or
No.
knowledge sharing. They hear us talk about CORE. So brand it.
Absolutely. And get a logo if your marketing team will let you.
Yeah, they'll let you.
It can be a struggle.
I know.
We have 5 logos actually for our KM platforms. We got a hand over here.
Can you touch on champions and influencers and people?
You want to go first? I wrote down what you said about re-influencing too.
Okay.
Okay, so they're so important. We were talking about engagement earlier. The champions or friends of KM or whatever you call them are your legs. They're the ones that if you bring them together in a community and give them some perks like early insights into what you're going to do, some perks like being in focus groups to tell us or you what you need to do more of and better. Highlight them. They're usually the ones that win the awards. Nurture them. They are the ones actually that take KM out into the organization and make it living and live. And it's not very hard to pull them together and nurture them. They'll tell you what they want and what they need. All you need to do is support them. I'm going to stop because
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with Kim. You know, this is the kind of work that you can't do by yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you have a team of people. A lot of times it's a team of 1 or 2. But even if you have other people, you need champion and influencers. And for us, that was around who's the target audience that we want to be using the networks, right? And then could we go up to the middle management level and then the director level with that group to really start to say, how can we help you? If we want people in the field who are our sales reps to be able to ask questions and people who are our actual chemists in the lab to respond to them, that means I probably need to be talking to directors in RD&E and going out to district meetings and talking to people in sales and presenting at sales meetings, right? If they come together once a month for a district meeting, can I have 10 minutes on the agenda to talk about what we're doing and how it can help you? So get your work done through other people and let them then spread the word and be the influencers for you.
Yeah. And it's so rewarding to hear your words and your program and your brand identity come out of their mouths as they're taking it out there. We just got the sign from Donna. Should we move on to AI? Yeah? Okay. We can talk after, too. I saw a hand in the back.
Okay, so today we have at my company a very stale knowledge management environment. What I mean is we haven't done a lot with it based on where technology's headed. It's been pretty stagnant. While the program is very mature, the technology has not been. And what we have found, which is really refreshing, is this great opportunity to bring what we do with knowledge management and artificial intelligence together. The end result's going to be people get a better experience, right? They're going to get what they need quicker than they used to, and hopefully they get stuff that's more relevant to what they were looking for. And so some of the requirements that we have quite a few, but some of the basic ones are what we want to talk with you about today, and how our users have expressed to us that they want to see these things brought into our KM world. So the first is voice recognition, and what this means is, as a user, I want to interact with the KM environment just like I would with my Google Assistant or with Siri, right? I want the ability for it to recognize my voice. I don't want to have to type everything out. Very simple. That's what our users are telling us. The technology is there. We know the technology is there. We just haven't brought some of these things into the office place. And more people are frustrated with us because they say, I have a different experience at home than I do at work. And at home, I'm very technology enabled, and then it's like I walk into the doors of the company and I've taken a step a decade backwards, and that's not going to work anymore. So we're listening to what they've said that they want and trying to see how we can give them that.
Yeah, we are in the same place. We haven't done a lot with AI, but we've got our eyes wide open and we're looking and looking. But one of the little nuggets that we snatched was Microsoft Stream does voice recognition, and for our podcast, which is called branded Illuminate, when we post or drop, I think is the right term, each new episode, there is a transcript that Microsoft Stream somehow figured out using AI that floats along as the person is listening. Which is, we have our podcast in Microsoft Stream. Same with our Experts Explain knowledge sharing webinars when they're posted in Microsoft Stream. So it's a little thing, but it's a step.
Yeah. So natural language for our users, this is, as a user, I want to be able to speak to the CAM environment like I would to Kim. I don't want to do old style keyword searches. I don't want to have to resort to operators like and or, right, to get additional information. At home, if I am hungry, I can say, where's the nearest, restaurant that serves Italian cuisine? I talk like I would talk to a friend. I don't have to say restaurant and Italian or Italian cuisine and, right? But that's how people are still interacting with our CAM environment, and they don't want to do that anymore. They want natural language.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want multi-language. Again, we are very outdated. So if somebody goes to one of our communities and they post a question in a different language, somebody then has to copy that, go paste it in Google Translate, hope that it got it kind of right. We have a lot of terms and nuances that are unique to our industry that it doesn't understand. And so they're kind of cryptically putting it together just so they can reply and help somebody in another region. So we need something that will already have multi-language capability in it so that people can communicate across regions.
Yeah, we don't have it in our KM program yet, but in our company intranet, which I didn't say this earlier, but we are in 48 countries. We do have auto translation into, I think it's 9 languages for all of the news and all of the events that are posted within the intranet proper. And it doesn't always work perfectly, but it is very meaningful to people to have that news and that new information in their own language. And we have a setup where people can say, this isn't quite right, can you adjust it? So it's a nice give and take thing. I don't know if the AI is learning from those adjustments or not, but that'd be a good thing to find out.
Yeah, and I think this is a great step towards global user engagement, right? If this is something for all, we should make people feel like that's the case, and they should be able to come there and feel comfortable talking to it in their local language and knowing that a friend across the pond can help them out, right? So, search auto suggest. This is hearing from people that they say, as a user, I would like some help, predictive help when I'm searching. And we all see this when we use the internet, right? It's kind of the type ahead. We're typing, and if I say, where can I? Man, there are like 5 different sentences already in the drop down that I can select from. So that predictive auto-suggesting of things, and again, based on personalization for me. So the system knows where I am, it knows the region I'm in, it knows the other kinds of things that I've looked at in the knowledge environment, right? So when I'm searching, it's helping me to get smarter and maybe even think about something that I wasn't aware of so that I can get content before I have an issue.
Yeah, and for a while, before there was a merger and a budget issue, we had Smart Logic from Semaphore and someone I'm going to mention in a little while, I believe has it at his company as well, and it does that, and it's really cool, and we really got used to it, and then it went away, so I won't go there, but it also did auto classification, which is really, really wonderful. If you can have a tool that does that, I would highly recommend it. It still needs the user intervention sometimes because it doesn't always look properly into the document, or maybe the document can sort of seem to be about something else, but it can take you leaps and bounds ahead in terms of findability.
Yeah. So uploading a file and letting the machine read through it, letting the machine propose tags, right? Human intervention is somebody refining that, maybe adding synonyms to it, some things unique to just your company that you might also want to put in there, right? But not trying to manually have a full taxonomy tree that you have to maintain, but more of a living classification system because the machine's getting smarter as new documents are uploaded into it. Right?
Yeah, and in our case, we actually did have a 9,000 word taxonomy, but they worked together fairly
great.
well, and I still wish for those old halcyon days, but we can move on.
So a bot to retrieve content. Our mantra around our discussion boards is search first, then ask. And the reason is you're going to get a faster response, right? Because your answer might already be sitting there because somebody had a similar question a month ago and you didn't know it. So before somebody asks a duplicate question, we say go and search. Well, our users are saying, as a user, I want to be able to search and have a bot help me out, right? So I search, like you think of a chat bot, like we all see when we go to a shopping site, right? The little thing is sitting there saying, how can I help you? You click on it and you can search with that. Not only will it retrieve content, you can rate how useful it was. So the bot can say, here's what I found on product EC215A. Was this helpful, right? So the bot is getting smarter and refining its results based on user and crowdsourced responses in terms of how you rate it.
So a question, have any of you ever had a senior executive post on an internal Yammer in your learning and knowledge management group, hey, I want to do a bot, who wants to lead that? You have, okay, well, we should talk. We actually had that happen. And maybe there were 180 people because learning had a lot of people and KM had 20 or less. And KM was the first to answer, I'll do it, we'll do it. And actually 3 or 4 people from our knowledge management team volunteered, and the bot was intended to be pointed at the new learning management system, and they had a really, really interesting time for most of a year defining the requirements, working with a consultant company in France, designing the bot, doing a naming contest. It was called Ask Me, and seeding it with questions and answers and making it cheeky but not stupid, and a smart bot. It had a personality, so we learned a lot through this experience. Now, we have a lot of our offices in different countries, and we got shot down by GDPR privacy requirements, which apparently does not happen the same in your company.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah, so the bot's not launched. Ask Me can't be asked anything, but it knows some stuff. But one of the things we can learn from that is KM should always have its hand up, right? And there was a comment I wanted to make, and to point out another benchmarking friend of mine, Brian McBreen. KM and AI is new, right? We can't know everything today, and even if we did, it's going to change tomorrow. It'll be obsolete. It's changing so fast. And what we can do as KMers is what we're doing, right? We can learn from each other, talk to each other, figure out cool ways to use it, run back and share, and then build on each other. And Brian has a session tomorrow at 4. And he is one of maybe 20 other companies with us in the Knowledge Leaders Council. And he is willing to benchmark and share the cool stuff they're doing at Amgen, where you can imagine there's a lot of data that can be looked at by AI. And it's so complex and wonderful, I can't describe it. But I know that I'm going to benefit from it because I know Brian, just like I know I'm going to benefit from knowing you and Linda and all the rest of you. So it's just a recommendation. Let's do what KM people do. Let's network about AI and together figure out how they go together. So I'm passionate about that.
None of us have all the answers, right?
We do not.
No.
We do not. Are we at 5?
We got one more item.
9?
Okay,
We have 9
got
minutes left?
One more item
Woo!
there. Yay.
Oh, one more item.
Well, the last one is around improved
Yeah,
searches.
yeah.
So when you bring a lot of these things together, what we're looking at is the machine getting smarter. How many times have we searched and never gone past page 1 on our search results? Most of the time. Most of the time. So people expect that the search results are going to give them what they need. I don't even know if Google still has the thing it used to have that was like, you know, let me see if I'm feeling lucky.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, take your chance on the, you know, is this going to be the one thing you need? But that's really the experience that people want in a professional setting, just like they have at home. So if we're doing these things right, and our bots are getting smarter, our tag is being refined, right, because you're rating the content. So while maybe we thought, hey, this did match those terms, now we know that it really didn't because people are rating it low. People are going to get improved search results, so we're getting information to people faster. And that's what this is all about, connecting people to the knowledge that they need so they can make decisions, whether that's how to tackle a challenge at their desk, right, or something much bigger as part of a project team. But we want to give people information faster, and they expect a speedy response in today's environment.
Yeah, just like they would get at home.
Just like they would get at
Yeah.
home. They don't want to go to page 2 of our search results.
No, they do not. So we have time for questions? Yeah. Yeah. And we can move back to the other slide if y'all want to do it that way. Yes, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. How do you create a culture shift in cultures where sharing may not be natural? Do you want to take it, or you want me to?
Yeah, I can start. When we first started out, we gamified it. So we had a point system, and every page hit was 1 point, and every discussion post was 50 points. And we intentionally made the points attainable, like lower than we knew that they needed to be. And we built in something for 2 types of roles. One was if you were an expert, your points were higher because you were expected to be giving back and responding to questions. And if you were newer to the organization, a newer professional, the points were lower, but you could still attain them with your page hits because you should be reading and consuming and learning, right? The other thing that we did to address people who were really fearful at first about getting involved because they felt like if I give my knowledge away, then I'm not going to be as valuable. Well, we played that in reverse because we said, you know what, you are already the go-to person, and probably not globally though, for a certain group in your team, certain region, or in your office. This is your opportunity to help people on a global scale. So for people who get something out of recognition by being visible, this was a way to say to them, we can give you an opportunity to help more people be recognized as the expert, and through our reward system, we can award them because of their participation. And it did take time. I'd say within about a year and a half, though, we were there. The point system was working, and we published that point system as part of our metrics, and people had points in their performance goals. So managers would say, if you're a subject matter expert, you need to have 400 points in 2019, and we could measure if they were getting the points.
Another way is to measure a culture with a survey. We have a findability and knowledge sharing survey that I've probably deployed maybe 5 times in my almost 20-year KM career at different companies. And I would recommend, if you've never done that, do it now and hope for bad results, because bad results will help you. They'll give you something to go back to an executive with. And there's a tactic we use called sibling rivalry. Wow, Mr. Sales or Mrs. Sales Leader, did you know that your findability rating and your employees think that knowledge sharing is valued here is only 43% versus in R&D, they're at 67%. So whatever you do, yeah, it does work. And it's a tool that you can use. And then in 2 years, you can do it again, and the results will be better. And the reason I went back to this is every single one of these points is really about culture. And that's why we said at the bottom that if you leverage them all together, which is what we had in common and what is on our notes, then you really will speed up the culture change. I had a workshop yesterday about KM and innovation with this amazingly smart man, Dynisha, who has been an innovation consultant and a KM consultant. And we covered all these little points, but at the end he said, you know, it's not about KM, it's not about innovation. Everything is about culture, because you nailed it. If you don't have the cultural adoption, if it doesn't work in your culture, it doesn't matter how great your plans are, it's not going to get adopted. Yes. Yeah.
I'll add one other thing, if you can get this embedded into your new hire onboarding.
Oh, yeah.
Because when people come in, they're open to all the things that the new organization has to offer to them. And we both have that advantage that we have that as something that new hires are introduced to, knowledge management, and this is what it looks like for us, and here's how you can play a role and get involved.
Absolutely. That should be on the process slide. We had
Yeah.
room on the bottom. We need to add
Yeah.
that.
Other questions right here.
Did you track or rate your maturity as you progress from maturity to mature? Did you use any models to do that?
Yeah, we,
The question.
yes. So his question was around, as our programs have matured, do we use any model? And we did. We used the model that's put out by APQC. If you guys are familiar with that, the American Productivity and Quality Center. So they have a KM maturity model, and that's the one that we use for our program.
Yeah, and it's a fabulous model. We have not formally done that, but I highly recommend it. Linda's nodding her head. I'll be quite honest and say we're a little bit softer and more squishy, and the way we track is benchmarking, learning what other people are doing, and we're kind of competitive. So if they're doing something cool that we're not, we want to catch up. That's,
Last question, someone? Ready? Yes. Yes.
In regards to AI, like you do, my KM program does not reside in the IT or digital organization. Can you talk about maybe some advice or challenges that you have trying to enable some of these AI features where you don't own technology and don't necessarily drive?
Yep. Can you take that one? You want to repeat it?
Yeah.
You want to repeat it?
So I'm so glad you asked that, and it's almost like I planted it, but I didn't. That is part of what I wanted to say. We're not in IT, we're in HR, which is called People and Culture. And thank you for laughing. But we have friends. I mean, we are best friends with the group in IT called Digital Services International. And actually, someone in that group used to work in the KM team. He's got a master's in physics, and he's a genius. But he gets KM. And so one of the things that we're looking at is something that was requested from someone who isn't KM, a subsea engineer who really doesn't think it's right that we have 20 different lessons learned platforms. We're a merged company with 37,000 people. Of course, we have many, many lessons learned platforms. So he's created a wiki page in our wiki with links to all the 20, and he put in a request to Digital Services International to make a data lake thingy and use AI to search them all together and surface results and not try the hard work, which we can never do, of putting them all together. So my advice would be get friends in medium places in IT, because I didn't request that project, but guess who reached out to me and said, will you be a sponsor? And guess who's gonna get to own it? Because he can't own it as a subsea engineer. Anyway, do you comment?
Yeah, and I agree, partner with IT. We're fortunate that we have a role called a BIDL in our company. It's a business IT liaison. It's a person who sits in IT, but the different business groups are assigned a person like that to understand the business's needs. So they let us know the roadmap for what's coming down the pike with IT, solutions, technology, and then we can represent our needs to them, and then they make sure that that goes back to the IT council. Everybody doesn't have that, though.
Wait, on that note, it's time for lunch, but Kim and Dynisha will be up here, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind staying a few minutes
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
answer any additional questions. Please join me in thanking them for, I was not.
Y'all are great.